these powered through Phantom?
Mm.
We're live on YouTube as well. Check the...
Yeah, it shouldn't be. What is that?
No, that's not it. What does that say right there?
High pass, noise gate, compressor, deezer.
No, that's not it. Oh, what did you do?
I set microphone 2.
The compressor?
The compressor. Or condenser, yeah.
Could you hear me?
Say something again?
Hello?
Hello? Can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
I
can hear
I can
you.
myself.
You just can't hear me.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we're live on
See,
YouTube.
now I can hear myself.
I can hear you now, but now.
Yeah.
Say something?
But we've got the buzz again.
You guys are live on YouTube now.
Oh, great.
Oh, cool.
Oh, wait. What did you just do that when it turned it off?
Yeah.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me now? No.
Yeah, I can hear both of you, but the buzz is still there.
Well,
Well,
you fix it in post.
yeah, I guess so. We have no choice. So this is our maiden voyage of streaming live, so we'll see how this works. We have Noah in with me today. Hi, Noah.
Hello.
He didn't mic himself, and I think he did it on purpose.
Probably
He didn't
did.
want to be heard. I am with Daniel Saldana, who is this year's opening night film, the Dino, a city in focus for this year's San Bernardino International Student Film Festival. If we were face to face, we would do this Q&A
Right.
after the movie or before it,
Right.
but we're not. So we're doing it in a hodgepodge way. We'll record the podcast now and then we'll post it later. So without further ado, here's Daniel Saldana. Daniel, welcome.
What's
Officially.
up?
What's up?
It's been good. I'm at University of Laverne right now, and so, kind of experiencing the remote learning for the first time ever. Don't like it at all. Kind of jealous that you guys are kind of on campus a little bit, and we're not, but they're promising the fall.
Did you hear that, world? San Bernardino Valley College is on campus a little bit, so keep that in mind. Don't forget that.
Yeah, that's why I'm jealous. But they said they're going to promise in the fall, so that's fingers crossed on that one. So
To actually get to go to campus. Have you
Yeah.
been to campus yet?
I've been there once just to pick up equipment,
Yeah.
and that was about it. It's a really small campus.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of Valley a little bit, so it's kind of the same thing. So a little bit of the same camaraderie, but we won't see until the fall because I've never experienced it ever until probably this fall.
So let's backtrack a bit. Wait, where are you from?
Well, I'm actually from Highland, so
Yeah.
a lot of people think I'm from San Bernardino, but I'm actually not.
Yeah.
I'm actually from Highland. I'm actually like 2 miles away from the borderline of San Bernardino, so it's like 50-50.
But it was always in your view.
Yes, you're right. Yes.
Where did you, what got you into film?
Well, it all started, I would have to say when I was a kid. Me and my friend, we used to always like mess around with the camera. We always had like one little digital camera that was like that small. And
Yeah.
we would just mess around with it, but we didn't really take it serious. We were just, having fun until probably, I would say, my junior year of high school when me and my friend, we decided, let's make a video. And we decided to do like this video of like the TV show Cops. And this is before we even had our license. So we were dicking around in the car, just, not really driving. And then until my senior year,
By
that's
the
when
way,
I
Valley
decided.
College does not promote unlicensed driving. Just as a note.
Right. Yeah, and so it became like senior year. That's when when we had our license, we were like, hey, let's redo this video. And we ended up doing that, and we posted on YouTube. It got like almost 500,000 views on YouTube, and that kind of sparked my, interest in it, because it was the editing process that got me. That was the one I was like, oh, this is really cool, just putting pieces together and creating a story, even if it was bad, it just intrigued me. And, at first I wanted to become, an athletic trainer, wrapping up knees and taping up ankles, because I was an athlete in high school. But then I noticed to be an athletic trainer, it's like going to med school, but you're not really trying to become a doctor.
Yeah.
So that's when I decided, I don't think I want to do this. So I was like, let's try this, video thing. And so I took a class in senior year of high school. It was like a multimedia class, and that just kind of snowballed.
Where'd you go to high school?
I went to high school at Citrus Valley High School in Redlands. And so, yeah, that class kind of just snowballed after that, and it just hasn't stopped since then. So, yeah, it's always been an interest.
So you recently, as you mentioned, you transferred to University of Laverne, which is about 45.
About 45 minutes, 30 minutes.
They're in LA County. They're LA adjacent. And then how long were you at Valley? With us at Valley for?
I think almost, I want to say 2.5 to 3 years. That was how long I've been here for. So a little bit, university experience. I milked it a lot, but
that's okay.
I'm happy that I milked it because I learned a lot from here, and
let's
very grateful.
Let's get into the Dino. What was the inspiration on that?
Well, it all started off because I noticed a lot when I never really went to San Bernardino when I was a kid or as a teenager or anything. Even when I was in high school, I never went to San Bernardino. I had started going to San Bernardino when I went to Valley, and so I really got to see what San Bernardino was like, because that's where I would drive almost every day to go to Valley. And I noticed that how empty it was, and I never knew why it was so empty. I was like, why is this place so empty? And I noticed that there was just no life in the area. So I decided, when I started doing photography, I started doing photography before I did video, and I had a group of friends that was from San Bernardino, and I noticed that a lot of these guys didn't really get the recognition they deserved because, looking at their work, they were very, talented. And so what I decided to do was, I wanted to put these guys out there and kind of challenge myself to do, a feature film, because for some reason I just started deciding, hey, I want to shoot a feature film. So I was thinking, well, I could probably do a documentary, because there's no way in heck I would do a narrative. I didn't really know how to do a narrative, so I mainly knew how to do a documentary. And mainly that's when I decided, I'm going to interview all these guys that are photographers and, get their story and, why they started doing photography and etc. But then what I noticed is that these guys are all from San Bernardino, and so it made sense. That's when me and Kevin, my producer, my co-producer of the Dino, we decided, hey, there's something more that has to be. There's something more in this story than just photography, and so that's when we decided we're going to flip the script and change it to the Dino and change it mainly it's mainly focused on San Bernardino, but it's through photographers' views instead of, political views or, other people's views. But these people were also from San Bernardino, so they were citizens, so it made sense. And so that's pretty much how it kind of became what it is now.
And your main producer on this is one of our faculty.
Right.
I'd like to say Kevin Lyons, who's
Kevin
one
Lyons,
of our
yeah.
faculty of the program.
Yeah. Well, if it wasn't for him, I think I wouldn't know what the heck to do. So he was kind of guiding me throughout the whole process. So I'm grateful that he did.
Was there anything else besides you driving in every day? I thought there was a conversation we had about a newspaper article. I'm wondering if that's something.
Oh yeah. Well, that was also one of the big motivations of mine. That was probably the only thing that I saw that kind of put San Bernardino, out there was, the Broken LA Times documentary. And, I'm not going to lie, it did, shine some light that is like some problems that is happening in San Bernardino, like the homeless and the people that are impoverished and people that are struggling to live just in general. That's one of the big main problems in San Bernardino, but that's only mainly that they were focused on. They kind of showed a little glimpse of hope, but it wasn't enough for us to kind of be, be like, oh, like, okay, you know, something's happening here. You know, we're change. You know, there's change in the city. It wasn't enough, and so that's when it kind of lit a fire under me, and I was like, you know, I'm gonna try to do the same thing, but I'm gonna try to do it a different way, and try to do it in a positive light rather than just focusing on the negative.
And your title plays well into that, I think, the city
Yeah.
focus, because you're focused on photographers. What surprised you about any of the photographers that were featured in the film?
Well, what's funny is most of these guys I know through photography, and then some of them I actually met at first time when I was interviewing them. The people that really stood out to me was probably like the dirtbag. The dirtbag. He was definitely one that really kind of surprised me and interested me most definitely. West Side Story. So Freddie, he was a good one. The 0909, and then that kid G, Gilbert. Those guys were probably the most dynamic characters out of all of them because they had a different view, and they also had different styles in their photography, and they also captured different aspects of the city. So like Dirtbag was mainly 35 millimeter film. Like that's all he shoots. He doesn't shoot he rarely shoots digital. So everything you see is like black and white, Ilford 200 and Kodak Gold and stuff like that. And then West Side Stories is mainly the hood on the west side of San Bernardino, and because that's where he's from. And so he pretty much just reflects where he's been born and raised, and that was really intriguing to me.
How did you run into some of these guys?
Well, what's funny is I actually ran into Gilbert. We actually were coworkers. Before I started doing photography, we worked at Stater Brothers together, and right. He was a photographer when I first met him, and he was barely starting out, but he was the only guy I knew that knew about cameras. And so I was really interested in doing video, and I had no knowledge about cameras. And so I would always bother this guy, and he wouldn't give me the time of day. He would kind of just shrug me off. But eventually, time after time, we ended up becoming really close friends. And so that's how I met him, and through him I met all these other guys that were in this circle of his, and now they kind of let me enter the circle, and now I'm really close friends with every one of these guys in the documentary.
Do they have any? I can't remember. Were there showings and things like that in the documentary that they go to? Does anyone get to see their art? I guess is what I'm asking.
Well, I mean, the only way you can see their art is probably, through social media. That's mainly the biggest platform that we use as photographers. Yeah. There are some shows that happen, especially not right now, but they just opened this new cafe, like this new vegan cafe in San Bernardino, and they decided to all gather up their prints and they put it on their wall. And so that's probably one public place you could probably see their work is at that cafe spot. I don't know the name of it, but it's one of the spots.
Well, yeah, I know it's roughly around where the little gallery is. I think,
Yeah.
down there. Yeah.
Right.
Well, just so everybody knows, the Garcia Center for the Arts in San Bernardino is playing an art show actually in July. So
Okay.
we're definitely going to be. I work with them on their board, and we're definitely be looking for artists for that. So.
Oh, cool.
Be sure to hit everybody up. But probably maybe even do a screening there at some point.
Yeah.
I've talked to the director over there, open to it.
Right.
What, just about making the documentary, going into that, so there's an audacious thing you have in mind. I'm a student filmmaker, I'm going to make a feature film. What on earth were you thinking, and why did you think that you're going to be able to pull this off?
I mean, to be honest, I don't really know. I was just fire.
Ignorance is bliss. Sometimes.
Yeah. I don't know. It was just, I was very hungry to do something. I felt like I wasn't really doing anything. I felt like I was just going to school, learning the techniques, but I wasn't really doing any projects. And so I decided, I was very hungry and I just wanted to do something, kind of keep myself occupied. And I think one of our faculties, Donna Trujella, she kind of came up with this idea, and it kind of just, that idea just grew in my head, and I ended up becoming obsessed with it. And so that's when it came up with doing the photographers, and mainly photographers, but then it turned into the Dino. But you know, at first I was thinking, maybe I should do a short, but then I was just like, oh, go big or go home, right? And so I was just like, all right, let's just do it. And so I even told Kevin that, and Kevin was kind of like, all right, we'll see what happens.
I think I was kind of like,
Yeah.
all right, good luck, make it work.
Right. And I was shooting for the stars, and you know, I didn't want it to just, you know, get done, put it on YouTube, and then that was it. Like, I wanted to get it out there and put it, you know, out to the world and have everyone have access to it. And so that's when I, you know, got in contact with, you know, a company called Open Gate, and they kind of just, you know, kind of led me through the way. And
Yeah, we'll touch on that.
Yeah.
I'm just curious too.
But it was a dumb decision, but it ended up being a good decision
I mean,
at the same time.
it was audacious.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was dumb. I was like, all right.
Right.
What was there other things that you were able to access because of the program that helped us out, or
Well,
besides the the faculty are great at
Right.
access.
right. No, well, I'm very grateful that, you know, I went to Valley, because at first, you know, when you came in, you know, ran the show, it ended up being a little bit better. And so the equipment we had was a lot better than we did before. So,
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
In fairness, like some of those things were on their, were set up beforehand. It was
Mhm.
by my predecessor, Dr. Dusek. She did a good job of getting us to the point to where
Right.
we can have that conversation. So,
right. But like the equipment we had, we didn't have that before. And so I think that's when, you know, at first I shot the whole thing on DSLR. I didn't shoot it with anything besides my 80D. But then, you know, my producer told me we should probably try to take advantage of the school, you know, because since you already have access to it, why not? So that's what I decided to do. So I decided to rent out an FS7, you know, ICANN light, three lighting kit, I think that's what you call it.
3-point light kit,
Yeah,
yeah.
3-point lighting kit. You know, XLR, lav mics,
And it's not rented; it's checked out
Yeah.
as a student.
Right,
So
yeah.
We're not renting. We're not charging our students for the equipment.
But
so.
I was very grateful, because I feel like if I didn't use that equipment, the quality of the film would have been, you know, kind of mediocre, and it really kind of helped the film.
And you got to use one of our
bit.
department interns quite a bit.
Yeah, Josh Roddy. That guy was probably one of the most, you know, I'm very grateful that you got me in touch with Josh, because Josh really helped me. I think if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be able to finish, you know, filming this documentary. So it was really, Josh really helped me out a lot.
Yeah.
And so the school in general was a big contribution to the project, and I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah. No, so, because then you got, what was the award that you ended up getting on it?
So, in general?
Yeah.
I ended up getting the Telly Award, so I got silver in the student section. And so it was weird, because it said like student, and then it said student hashtag. So I don't know what the difference was, but I ended up getting a silver award from
Yeah.
it. And so that was a big achievement. I tried playing it the festival route. I tried playing, go big or go home. So I went for like, Philadelphia, Austin, Student Academy Awards. But, the competition is insane over there, so, I didn't get picked. But as long as I won an accolade, I was grateful, and I didn't really care anymore. I was just like, all right, well, you won an accolade. Let's go try to get it to distribution now.
Well, yeah, and it'll be in as the opening night screening. You'll get your laurel for here, and so that's part of the whole process
Right.
with these film festivals is when they've seen you've played one, the chances that you
Yeah.
get it. So
Right.
hopefully that can help you out too. So all of a sudden it showed up on Amazon Prime, but I know there's some write up there because then people were hitting me up with our school and our district asking me about it.
How did it happen,
Which
right?
was good, and so what got you to that point? I think you mentioned the
Right.
the
It
distribution company.
was because of, Open Gate.
Yeah.
Open Gate's a company that, it's mainly a company that's mainly for people that are writing scripts, and they pretty much grab that script and rewrite it, make it better for distribution or for production. That's mainly what they do. But they also help you out with distributing your final products. And so that's what they did. and they kind of led my way to Amazon, and Amazon was very lenient. They're not very as strict as like Hulu and Netflix, so it ended up working out, and that was kind of like, oh, that's the best route I have to take. You know, it's one of the biggest platforms.
Yeah.
Why
No,
not?
it was good.
Yeah.
So how many views have you gotten on it?
I would have to say, if I had to guess, last time I checked, it was like 66,000 views, I think. In total, they say it's like, they don't give you the views, they give you the minutes.
Yeah.
So it was probably streamed, at least 2 million minutes were streamed off Amazon Prime. So if you do the math, that's probably like 60,000 views
Okay.
so far.
Out of-
So,
yeah. Well, that's not too bad.
Right.
Good job. Way to go.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, that just shows that you can have an audience. And so you hope to then springboard off of that
Right.
into another project.
Right.
Man, I ran out of questions on the Dino. So what's next for you?
Well, I've been mainly doing a lot of short films. I've been doing a lot of like mini documentaries. I want to do another full-length feature documentary, but I don't know what I want to do it on yet.
Are you set on the Are you just leaning into documentary right now, or?
Yeah, I mainly want to do narrative, but I feel like documentary is a great way to get yourself out there. You know, kind of test the waters and kind of put yourself in a situation where you have to react fast. And I
Yeah.
think that's where a lot of other like filmmakers, great filmmakers start off is mainly documentary, and then they kind of just move on towards narrative. I like documentary. I think it's really fun.
Well,
I think it's awesome.
I think there's a market for it, right?
Right.
Everyone's binge watching those, right?
Yeah.
This time last year, everyone was watching Tiger King. So.
Well, it's crazy how, documentaries weren't that really popular, back then, but now it's like when Netflix came in and, Amazon Prime, all the big streaming service came in, mainly Netflix. That's when documentaries became really popular, and now everyone wants to watch documentaries. But now it's like docu-series now. Now it's not just one documentary.
Yeah,
It's like
I mean,
different episodes.
Prior to Netflix, HBO was always doing these things. So.
I discover that now. Now that I have
You just
HBO
got-
Max,
right.
and I never was raised on, I never had HBO as a
Yeah.
kid. I've noticed how much documentaries were made out from HBO.
Tons.
Right.
Well, I just, as one of your professors down the road here, it was a joy to have you in class, and I'm glad to see that you're moving forward. You keep doing stuff. And any advice to your fellow future or current film students out there?
Well, it's funny. It is funny that people ask me, because now a lot of people are asking me for advice, but it's like, I can't really tell you that much advice. I can only give you the basics,
Yeah.
Like, all I could say is, keep on shooting. The more you shoot, the more mistakes you make. The more mistakes you make, the more you learn.
Yeah.
And so the more you learn, the more you get better.
Thanks for saying what I'm telling you guys.
Yeah, that's mainly what it is.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, oh, how do I do better videography? I'm like, just keep on shooting. That's all you could do. Because it's funny, because a lot of people want me to mentor them, but it's like, I can only help you with so much. It's, you gotta find your own path. You can take the basics, you can take the fundamentals, but you gotta kind of take those fundamentals and find your own path.
Was there anything about this process that you wish you would have known more about? I guess this is my self-reflection.
You're talking
what
about
could I
from
have
making
done?
the Dino?
Well, what could a program do better to get you ready for something like this?
Well, I mean, obviously, I'd say go to school, go to film school, because
Nice.
I mean, I wouldn't say film school will make you
Valley College.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say film school makes you a better filmmaker. I just say it gets you ready to become a filmmaker. But that's on you if you want to become a better filmmaker. And that's how I learned. Don't be afraid of opportunity. The more opportunities you get, take them. I totally encourage that. But and mainly, I would say do a lot of photography too. Don't be afraid to do photography. That really helps you. That helps you a lot. It helped me a lot.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Because I was a photographer before I became a filmmaker, and that really kind of tagged along and helped me a lot. No, I would just say, for people that want to become a filmmaker or want to become, you know, a camera operator, or, you know, just do video in general for YouTube, I just say just, you know, just don't be afraid to fail. That's for sure. You know, the more you fail, that's how you learn, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
100%. I'm sure you probably learned that in sports as
Yeah.
well.
Well, the Dino was a big experience, a big
Yeah.
learning experience for me. You know, I kind of shot for the stars, and I kind of actually made it. But, you know, there's a lot of things that I do wish I could do now that I know the knowledge that I have now. I wish I could have contributed that to.
Yeah, I was gonna. Have you gotten to the point where you're tired of talking about it and saying it?
What?
The film.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's good.
A little bit. You know, what's funny is when I edited the project, I ended up, the more I edited, the more I hated it, you know? And I think that's how every filmmaker feels, like once they see the repetitive work like for hours every single day.
Well, you see
Like,
every mistake.
Yes.
I mean, so it's, you know, that's the thing about super indie, which this project was, is you don't have a hired team that's doing your post.
Right, you're doing it all by yourself.
You're there doing it by yourself, and you're living it, and so you know every mistake you made,
Mm-hmm.
and it's.
But some people don't see it. That's the funny part.
Yeah. Well,
You hate it as a filmmaker, but the viewers like it, just for the way they are.
I just saw Tenet yesterday, and I should say for everybody, we're 6 feet apart. I've been totally vaccinated, and Danny's already had his bout with the Rona, so we are safe here. But I just saw Tenet yesterday in the theater, and there's a huge editing flaw in one of the scenes.
Which one?
There's a jump cut when he's talking. I think when he meets the guy's wife
For the first time.
the first time, the way they're cutting it, his hands aren't matching up.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's huge.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's
right.
like, this is a multi-gazillion-dollar film. Like, are you telling me they didn't get the coverage enough in that scene?
Right.
So the mistakes always happen, but it is painful to sit there and watch them over and over again. I'm like, God, why did I have that going? Why did I have that there? So
Yeah, that, like I said, you know, the more I edited, the more I started to hate it, and I was very afraid to put it out there. I was like, oh, I don't think this is gonna be it, right? But then once it came out, the reaction was as I expected.
and that's every artist is going to have that.
Right.
That's the big goal of being an artist, is eventually let people see your
Well,
stuff.
what was funny is when I told you, hey, I'm gonna do a documentary about San Bernardino, and I told you I was gonna do a feature film. You were kind of like, all right, well, you know, we'll see what happens, right? But then once you started seeing it started coming together. You were kind of like, okay, do you know what you're doing right now? Like, do you know how big of a responsibility you have now that you're going to be doing a documentary about a city that, you know, that's going through so much hardship? Like, do you know the reaction you're going to get? And I kind of did at first. And it's funny because the reaction I got was, you got the people that lived in the All-American era, you know, they have their opinion. And then the people that live in the era it is now, they have their opinion. The people that lived in the All-American era, they didn't like it. They didn't like the way I painted the city how it is now. Like, they just, for some reason, because they were so used to the All-American era, you know, they're
Do you
not
want to
used to
explain
this.
that a bit, the All-American era?
Yeah, so, and I think it was 1977. I think it says it right there on the wall on one of the streets. It says an All-American City. It won the All-American City Award. And, you know, the city was a big hub city when it came to for like L.A. and, you know, going to Palm Desert or Springs or whatever like that. It was kind of like the place where you're going to go to L.A., you're going to stay at San Bernardino and, you know, hang out over there.
Yeah.
Right.
You had to hit the first McDonald's.
Right. Yeah. First McDonald's was there. And, you know, it was crazy is, you know, the history that San Bernardino has, it's so mind-boggling because it's you look at the city now and you're like, how did that happen? You know, what caused this city to kind of go down the dump and, you know, end it the way it is today? And I think that's why a lot of these old people, you know, old heads or people from the All-American City area, they reacted to it in a negative way because it's like, that's not the San Bernardino I remember, you know. But it's like, that's not what the documentary was about. You know, it was about what San Bernardino is today and what it is for probably the last 10 years.
What do you think is going to make it get back to a spot where it's a destination again.
Well, they did decide on a redevelopment company.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you heard about that. They're actually going to redevelop the property of the Carousel Mall.
Yeah.
So they're going to tear down the Carousel Mall, and the company that they decide is going to do whatever they want to with that property. And then that city's going to decide, oh, well, we might want a shopping center, whatever they want.
Yeah.
And I think I'm hoping that project will be like the biggest, the big turnaround for San Bernardino. And it will kind of become the way it was back in the 70s and the 80s and stuff like that.
Well, what do you like? Do you think you're with these artists for over a year,
Right.
filming them? Do you see better platforms for them coming up?
Well, these guys right now, they're trying to make a platform for artists
Yeah.
in general. And I think there's a lot of people in the younger generation that are trying to make an effort to, put artists out there. Because I think, art is the biggest reflection of a city. You go to LA, the art over in LA is insane. And it's a big reflection. It's,
Yeah.
that's the mecca for film and, photography and fashion.
Right.
We're hoping for that to be in San Bernardino, and I think even with these photographers now, they're trying to make an effort, and they're trying to build like a community with other younger artists, and trying to put them out there, and like the store Viva La Boba, like Viva La Boba is trying to make an effort too, and they're also doing like farmers markets on the weekends and stuff like that, but. It's just a little start, but I'm hoping that it will snowball and become something bigger. And I'm hoping this redevelopment project that they're doing kind of jumpstarts the city back to where it is now, to what it was.
Yeah.
I would say, the people that are really trying to put the city on the map and really trying to create a different platform is like, West Side Stories, Freddie, Dirtbag. There's another guy named the local outfitter. He's actually creating, merchandise that represents San Bernardino. So like pins, T-shirts, hats, of like nostalgic stuff from San Bernardino. So like Santa Fe Smokestack, Carousel Mall logo, the McDonald's. He's making all these pins, and it's crazy. Yeah, and those are probably the guys that I see are making the biggest contribution to the city and trying to make an effort.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So for my current students, somebody to follow now and make a docu.
Right.
You can make a docu-series out of what that?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and it's funny because a lot of these other artists are now hitting me up, like actual painters. Like,
Yeah.
there's a guy named Kill Bill. I'm doing a project with. He's like a guy from the west side of San Bernardino. He's got tattoos all over him, on his head, everything. But he's like this really sick artist. Like he paints and does spray painting and stuff like that. I got a project with him that I'm going to do about him. There's another project that I want to do. It's based on these guys that are, they're called the 909 Bike Life. And what 909 Bike Life is it's these guys that are on quads and motocross bikes and just doing wheelies and doing tricks in the public streets of San Bernardino. Doing like probably like the most reckless stuff in San Bernardino.
We're not.
Right. But it's an interesting topic because I think a lot of people kind of, when they see San Bernardino and they hear about San Bernardino, they kind of just brush it off. They're kind of like, oh, it's San Bernardino.
Well, did you know that the Rolling Stones' first concert in America was in San Bernardino?
I did not.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting.
It was, yeah. So the buildings, I think the building that they were in was near the Orange Show, and it burnt down in 9/11.
Really?
If I'm not mistaken, I'm sure somebody in the
I remember
comments will
my
comment
grandmother,
back.
she was also in the Dino.
Yeah.
And she was telling me that Sammy Davis Jr. got
Yeah.
a big accident in San Bernardino, and
Well,
he went to the hospital, and that's how he lost his eye.
He was on the way to Vegas, and then I think he ended up at St. Bernardino.
Yeah, and that's how he lost his eye.
Yeah. So.
And ever since then, he's kind of just been. He was a big contributor to the city. He performed over there and did other things. That's pretty crazy. That's where Sammy Davis Jr. lost his eye.
And I think that's what your film for me is. As we wrap this up, illustrated is there's just these hidden gems in the city, and these stories that not everybody knows, and to shine a light on that and to show people that art is probably going to push its rebirth probably more than
Yeah.
anything else. So, well, thanks for giving us your movie to screen this year.
Right.
We appreciate it.
No problem.
It's on Amazon Prime, and the title again is
The Dino, a City in Focus.
The Dino, a City in Focus. So check it out if you're not going to be able to watch it during the festival. And yeah, thanks a lot for coming down and saying
Thank
hello.
you.